Good morning, class. Now let us proceed to our third topic, Module 2, Lesson 1, Accounting Principles, Equation, and Types of Major Accounts. So for Lesson 1, we will have accounting concepts and principles. For the learning outcomes, at the end of the lesson or module, the students shall be able to first recognize the generally accepted accounting principles. Second, be able to distinguish the accounting concepts and principles in business scenario. Third is that you will be able to analyze violations of accounting concepts and principles in business transactions. Now, generally accepted accounting principles. This term means it refers to a set of accounting rules, standards, and practices used to prepare and standardize financial statements that are issued by a company. Anong goal ng GAAP? So, the goal of this standard is to help investors and creditors better compare companies by establishing consistency and transparency. And the main objective of GAAP is expressed in phrase of standard auditor's report, which states to fairly present the financial statement in conformity with GAAP. So ano bang ibig sabihin ng pinagsasabi natin dito? So the key points of GAAP is that itong GAAP na to, ito yung rules and guidelines na from United States, then inadopt ng Republic of the Philippines. So think of GAAP as a set of instructions that everyone uses to make sure financial reports are consistent, reliable, and understandable. In other words, ito yung instructions, guidelines na sinusunod ng bawat kumpanya, no, to make sure yung financial reports nila ay consistent, reliable, tsaka naiintindihan, understandable. So, ano ang key points ng standard ng GAAP? First is standardization. So, GAAP ensures that lahat ng companies use the same rules when they prepare financial statements. This make it easier to compare one company's financial performance with another company. So, second is accuracy, di ba? So, by following GAAP, companies report their financial information accurately and fairly kasi nga may standards and guidelines na sinusunod. The third one is that transparency. Kasi nga, GAAP requires companies to be clear and open about their financial activities. And transparent sila to build trust with investors, regulators, and the public. In the Philippines class, the financial reporting standards are based on PFRS or the Philippine Financial Reporting Standards. Meron din tayong tinatawag na Philippine Accounting Standards. So, ano nga ba yung Philippine PFRS or NPAS? So, ito siya is adopted ito from the International Financial Reporting Standards. Bale class, kung sa international, fina-follow nila yung International Financial Reporting Standards, ang Philippines naman ay merong localized na standards. It is the Philippine Financial Reporting Standards. Ito ay issued by the International Accounting Standards Board or the IASB. The rationale for using IFRS or yung inadapt natin becomes PFRS is to ensure consistency in recording, recognizing, and measuring financial transactions, which, if followed properly, will ensure stability and transparency throughout the financial reporting process of the company. What is the difference between PFRS and PAS? So, Philippine Financial Reporting Standards, which are applicable to all entities in the Philippines. So, PAS naman, on the other hand, refers to Philippine Accounting Standards, which are applicable to entities that are not considered as public interest entities or the PIES. Don't be, wag maguluhan. Kasi yung PFRS is a set of rules that companies in the Philippines must follow when they create financial reports. So, if nag-create sila ng income statement, balance sheets, no, cash flows, yun yung fina-follow ng bawat companies, ang PFRS. It tells them how to record and report their financial information. So, whereas, itong Philippine Accounting Standards, no, PAS, is part of PFRS. So, imagine niyo na lang na ang PAS is a detailed instruction within the overall PFRS na rulebook. So, imagine may PFRS na rulebook. So, lahat na yan in general. So, may specific doon which is the Philippine Accounting Standards. No? It covers a specific area of accounting, like how to account for the income, how to account for the expenses, how to account for the assets, how to account for the liabilities. So, bakit siya nagmamatter ang Philippine Accounting Standards? Because EAS provides a specific rules on how to handle different parts of companies' finances. Let us move on to the accounting principles and assumptions. So, the basic underlying accounting principles, assumptions, and concepts include the following. First, going concern assumption or going concern principle, also known as continuing concern concept or continuity assumption, means that the business entity will continue to operate indefinitely or at least another 12 months. This term also refers to a company's ability to make enough money to stay afloat or to avoid bankruptcy. So, ibig sabihin, ang basic idea nito is that a company will keep operating in a foreseeable future. No? Hindi natin ini-expect na mag-shutdown or magko-close ang isang business, but will continue to go on operating. So, imagine if you have a small business, like meron kayong coffee shop. So, going concern principle assumes that imuhang coffee shop will continue to sell coffees for a long period of time. So, hindi siya nag-assume na you're going to close tomorrow. If nag-start ka ng business today, hindi nag-assume ang going concern na magka-close ka agad next month. No? Ang ina-assume ng going concern principle is that you will continue your business. That's why it is called going concern assumption or going concern principle. Second, accrual basis of accounting. So, what is accrual basis of accounting? It says in our module that this method of accounting means that the revenue or income is recognized when earned regardless of when received, and expenses are recognized when incurred regardless of when paid. To further explain it, class, ang sinabi dito sa module natin is that ang accrual basis of accounting means ang revenue or income, nire-recognize siya regardless kung kailan niya na-receive or natanggap yung pera. No? So, example, meron kang small business. No, nagbenta ka ng product today, but the customer will pay you next month. Ang tanong, natanggap mo ba yung pera today? Hindi, di ba? Kasi the customer will pay you next month. So, under accrual basis of accounting, you would record the sale today. Magre-record ka na meron kang benta today, even though you haven't received the money yet. So, how it works. No? So, you record the income when you earn it, not when you get paid. So, income today, no, kasi wala ka natanggap na pera, but you will record the income or the revenue. So, for example, again, if you provide a service noong August, but the customer will pay you ngayong September, so you still record the income in August. Mag-recognize ka ng income in August. So, sa expenses naman, okay, let us shift our perspective sa expenses. You record the cost when they occur, not when you actually pay for them. Now, for example, na-receive na electricity bill sa Davao Light katong July. July ha, imagine, nadawat na electricity bill katong July. But wala pa nimo gibayaran until August na. So, you record the expenses in July. katong the time nga nadawat nimo ang electricity bill sa Davao Light. So nga na siya. In summary class, important ang accrual basis of accounting because it gives more accurate picture of how your business is doing by matching income and expenses to the time period they relate to. So, in summary, diba? In summary again, the accrual basis is like keeping track of what you have earned and what you owe as soon as nahitabo siya, as soon as the thing happens, rather than waiting until the money goes out of your hand. So, this method helps show the real financial situation of the business, not just the cash flow. Kung unsa dyan nahitabo at the moment, mao'y ma-recognize sa business. Regardless of na kay na-receive na cash, because this is not just the cash flow. This is about the financial situation of the business. Third one, accounting entity concept. This principle recognizes a specific business enterprise as one accounting entity, separate and distinct from the owners, managers, employees of that business. Ang kanisya na concept is that it is a fundamental idea in accounting that says that a business or organization is separate from its owners or any other entities. This means that the financial records of the business should be kept distinct from the personal finances of the owners or other businesses. So imagine you own a small bakery. Now, according to the accounting entity concept, imuhang bakery is treated as its own person in the world of accounting. So, the money of the bakery, unsa man niyang na spend diha, unsa man niyang na-own is separate from your personal money even though you own the bakery. So, how it works, no? So si bakery, na siya sariling income niya. Si bakery, na siya sariling expenses niya. Na siya sariling assets, no? Na siya sariling liabilities, like if nangutang si bakery. So, are recorded separately from your personal bank account. Separate po imuhang, let's say, dili nimo pwede isagol ang assets nimo o imuhang asset nimo personally, like imuhang balay, imong sakyanan, dili nimo pwede i-record the same with your bakery. So, this means that naakay clear boundaries, no? This concept creates clear boundary between what belongs to the business and what belongs to you as the owner. Now, para to make it easier to track the business financial performance without mixing it up with your personal finances. Nag-provide siya clarity. Nag-provide siya og kanang for legal tax purposes, no? It helps in legal situations and tax filing because it makes it clear what belongs to you personally and what belongs to the business. Okay, the fourth one is the time period or periodicity. So, time period assumption, also known as periodicity assumption, means that the indefinite life of an enterprise is subdivided into time periods or accounting periods, which are usually of equal length for the purpose of preparing financial reports on financial position, performance, and cash flows. Now, what does it mean? The periodicity concept or the time period principle is it's the basic idea in accounting that says a business financial activities should be broken down into regular or smaller chunks. Bali, i-divide na to na siya into monthly, pwede pod quarterly, pwede pod yearly, no, for reporting purposes. Imagine na kay coffee shop, so na-start ka og business from January 1, hantod sa December 1. So, kana siya class is mo na siya imong i-record. Now, pwede pod mag-record na kadaan monthly para dili kayo tedious on your part, no? Because imagine if mag-record lang ka og financial statement or financial activities nimo from start hantod sa nag-close na imong business. Diba, it would be very tedious on your part because it would be hard for you to remember it. Now, the next principle is the monetary unit assumption. The principle that every business event and transaction must be expressed in terms of a common denominator currency. This assumption dictates that a company records its books of accounts in Philippine peso. So, mag-record ta class, since naman ta sa Pinas, it must be in Philippine peso. Next principle is the matching principle. So, this principle means that expenses are recognized in the period the related income is earned, and income is recognized the period the related expenses is incurred. To further explain, matching principle is especially important in the concept of accrual accounting. So, matching principle states that the business should match related revenues and expenses in the same period. So, they do this in order to link the cost of an asset or revenue to its benefits. So, the expense must relate to the period in which the expense occurs rather than on the period actually paying invoices. For example, class, if ang business nagabayad siya og 10% commission sa sales representative, so kada katapusan sa bulan. So, if the company has 50,000 pesos sales sa December, na sila'y 50,000 sales on December. Then, ang 10% ana is pila man? 5,000. So, ang commission na 5,000 is ibayad karong January. Now, ang recording ana class is according to matching principle, the recording will be on the month of December. Some businesses will follow the matching principle. These businesses reports commission expense, di ba? Ano ko ganyan, December sa income statement nila i-report. So, other companies, naga-use pod og cash basis. In this case, kung mag-cash basis pod sila, kung kanus mag-matter ang kung kanus ang nagawas ang kwarta or nasulod ang kwarta. So, kung magbayad ang isa ka company og 5,000, kung cash basis sila ay lang din na-follow na principle, then dito ra pud sila sa January mag-record. But if the company strictly follows matching principle, then the reporting of the expense must be on December, since ang nahitabo ang sales on the month of December. So, sa December pud mag-record og 10% commission na expense, which is the 5,000. The next principle is the revenue recognition principle. In accrual basis accounting, revenue or income is recognized when earned regardless of when received. It means that income is recorded when the service is fully performed or when the sale occurs, even if the amount is not yet collected. So, naintindihan ba? So, mag-recognize ka ng income kapag earned mo na siya, regardless of kailan ka nabayaran. Kapag sinabing earned class, meaning ikaw yung nag-render ng service. So, on your point of view, naka-render ka na ng services, therefore, mag-recognize ka na ng revenue or income. Kahit na accounts receivable mo pa yon. Now, let's say, nagbenta ka on January 1. Tapos, yung hindi ka pa naka-receive ng full payment. So, since nagbenta ka, i-recognize mo na yun as your revenue, even if they are not yet collected. Next principle is the expense recognition principle. Also, under accrual basis accounting, expenses are recognized when incurred, regardless of when they are paid. In other words, expenses are recorded when used, even if they are not yet paid. Let's have further illustration. So, sa expense recognition principle, example, si company A, it pays 100,000 pesos for merchandise, which it sells in the following month for 150,000. Now, under the expense recognition principle, ang 100,000 pesos na cost should not be recognized as expense until the following month, when the related revenue is also recognized. So, diha pa siya mag-recognize of expense once na anay revenue nga na-recognize pod. So, that's how the expense recognition principle works. Lastly, historical cost principle. So, historical cost principle, items in the balance sheet are generally presented at historical cost. Nonetheless, some accounts are measured using other bases such as fair market value, current cost, and discounted amount. To explain further, a historical cost is a measure of value that is used in accounting. Now, the value of an asset on the balance sheet is recorded at its original cost when it is acquired by the company. Kung pila ang pagpalit sa company, ana nga, let's say, nagpalit siya og machine worth 150,000. Kung pila yung pagpalit, ana, mao pod ang pag-record dito sa balance sheet. So those are the 9 principles or 9 accounting principles and assumptions. So again, it's going first, the going concern assumption. Second, accrual basis of accounting. Third is entity concept. Fourth is time period or periodicity concept. Fifth is the monetary unit assumption. Sixth is the matching principle. Seventh is the revenue recognition principle. 8 is the expense recognition principle. 9 is the historical cost principle. So kindly research further so you could understand, no? Pwede mo mag-research through online or through books. Sa library, pwede mo mag-search. Better pod sa internet so you can specifically search what do you want to understand further. Let us move on to another topic, the Philippine regulatory agencies. Before starting a business class here in the Philippines, you must register your entity in the appropriate government agencies to ensure smooth sailing business operations. Now, failing to do so will result in business disruption when the right authorities are notified. So there are these various government agencies na nasa itong module. The first one is the local government unit or the LGU. So, registering with the LGU where your business is located is essential before legally operating. Usually, the license from the LGU is commonly known as business permit or mayor's permit. Now, some cities require you to process a business permit first before registering with BIR. The documentary prerequisite such as SEC registration certificate, barangay clearance, contract of lease or real property tax, and occupancy permit must be submitted. In reality class, this is happening. No, this is really happening because the business must first register with the LGU. Magkuha sila daan og business permit or mayor's permit. Next is the DTI. So, Department of Trade and Industry is an agency where single proprietorship enterprises register and they secure their certificate of registration. Now, registering with DTI is imperative to ensure that you can gain the right to use your business name and give your enterprise a legal identity. Because under Republic Act 3883, it is illegal to use a business name without registering it first with DTI. And ensuring to register your business name will guarantee you to the legal right to use it for 5 years and must be renewed to continue its legal validity. The third one is the Securities and Exchange Commission. So, SEC is responsible for registering and supervising all corporations and partnership organized in the Philippines. Licensing of representative offices and branch offices is likewise under this agency. Registering with SEC is essential and mandatory for an entity to legally engage in business, provide receipts, trade financial assets, and be entitled to specific corporate and investment laws in the country. Because class, the Securities and Exchange Commission is the national government regulatory agency charged with supervision over corporate sector, the capital market participants, and the securities and investment instrument market, and the protection of investing public. As you can observe, si DTI is for the registration siya sa mga sole proprietor. And whereas si Securities and Exchange Commission is dito nag-register ang mga corporations and partnerships organized in the Philippines. The fourth one is the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or the BIR. Now, this is a government agency that assesses and collects all national internal revenue taxes, fees, and all charges. So, corporation that seeks to do business in the Philippines must register with the BIR. No, not only corporations but any businesses, no, nga gusto magtukod or magstart diri sa Philippines must be registered with the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Registering with the BIR is important as this will enable you to legally print your official receipt, formally register with a tax identification number or the TIN, and register the books of accounts you need to register yearly. BIR registration is one of the main requirements for doing business in the Philippines. Any person who receives an income, whether from business, profession, or compensation, has the legal obligation to register and pay their taxes in the BIR, as failure to do so may result in fine or imprisonment. The fifth one is the CDA, so Cooperative Development Authority. This is a government agency that registers and authorizes all types of cooperatives in the Philippines. In short, tanan cooperative diri sa Philippines magpa-register dapat sa CDA or Cooperative Development Authority. Next is the BSP or the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. So the Central Bank of the Republic of the Philippines. Ang objective niya is to regulate banks' operation and the importation and exportation activities. So whether it is a government bank like Land Bank or the DBP, or let's say private banks, let's say BPI, Metrobank, BDO, kahit anong bank yan within the Philippines, it must be regulated by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Lastly, the PICPA or the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So, PICPA is a non-stock, non-profit organization duly recognized and accredited by the Professional Regulation Commission or the PRC. So, the objective of PICPA is to protect the credibility of the CPA certificates and instills the ideals of professionalism and ethics and competence among CPAs. Now, once na CPA na ka, dapat magpa-register ka or you should be part of the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants or the PICPA. That's it for our Module 2, Lesson 1. Have a good day, everyone.